how difficult was interacting with, training, directing, and managing the Afghan Commandos? I mean, you see and hear quite a few horror stories about what a goat rope that is. What was your experience with that?
So, I mean, I have no training other people, right? Like the SEAL teams are amazing people, and I almost think, you know, I don't want to take the wind out of anybody's sails, but if you're a leader of SEALs, that's not that hard of a job.
Yeah.
Like people will be like, I will cut my heart out just to be 1% better. Like, it's not that hard. Like I worked at Amazon. I had people who were making, you know, $17 an hour.
Yeah.
And
with not quite the same standard.
They literally quit on you that minute. We're like, dude, I want 15 more minutes for lunch. So I quit. Bye.
Yeah.
And so the experience of like, I didn't know what I was doing. And, you know, you have 1,000 people who it's like babysitting, even though they're commandos. So, you know, they've done it again and again and again. Some are very good. But there was one person to 5 people out of 1,000 that were like actually like a comparable force to us, and if that. And then you'd have 30 people who were like okay, and then you had 970 that were scary.
Yeah.
And so you're like, I could get shot in the back at any given point.
Yeah. And
that actually happened on our deployment. We had 2 Green Berets who were under our same thing who got killed
by the commando.
Right.
Fuck. And I'm assuming that was an intentional thing, right?
Oh yeah. It was, whatever green on green or whatever that called, green on blue or whatever they call that.
Fuck, man. How did you guys deal with that?
It was bad. So it wasn't in our element. It was a different group, but it was under our SOTF. So my boss was Joe Price. And when those Green Beret, like our force was like, when something like that happened, we'd go like clear the whole valley and go do that. So every time something bad happened, like my group was the biggest group. So we'd go fly in and go do a mission. And, you get into some gunfights, whatever does or doesn't happen. Everybody was like, oh, it's going to be this huge thing. And usually they fizzled out. It wasn't like that bad. But like after Americans get killed, like it's really bad. And then you go look at the dudes face to face, the Green Berets, who's your brothers. And you know that they lost a brother, and you're like, man, I'm sorry. Like, what can we, like, I will do anything for you. Like, whatever you want, I'll do. And unfortunately, we had a lot of that deployment.
A lot of green on blue.
So we had 2 of those, and then we had guys get killed. So we had 2 SEALs get killed.
What were the circumstances?
So in a different, they were doing like a VSO kind of mission, and a guy, Matt Cantor, got shot from like really far away. And I think it was just a lucky shot. And, I think he got shot from like 800 yards away or something like that. And then like it went between plates and he got killed. And, I don't even know if it's anybody doing anything wrong. It was just like where they were at the time. And so the same kind of thing, after he died, we're going to have all the commandos from, where you're at, go clear everything out. And you go see your brothers face to face. And you're like, fuck, man, sorry. I'll do anything you want. Like we're doing missions like that.
What was the other guy?
So this is like I was directly involved in Kevin Eert. So Kevin Eert was one of my best friends. And I was literally talking to him when he died. So he was talking to me on the radio. His last words were to me. So we had, and I physically helped carry his body out. That was the most harrowing day of my life. We were in another area. Hey, it's getting attacked all the time. This is a really bad place. And Green Beret were, the owners of the village stability operation, like little thing where they're supposed to live and train with people. And they're like, dude, we get attacked every day. There's this terrible valley. And they're like, we're by these mountains, right? So in the mountains, people are like attacking near them. We don't know where they're coming. And it's all the time. And like, dude, if you go clear this village that's at the bottom of the mountain, there's 2 villages. Like you're going to get in the worst gunfights you've seen in like years and years and years. And like we had heard that story so many times. We're like, okay, cool. So you prep for it. And we're like, you know what? Let's get a little cute. Let's have like a really good plan. So we flew in the mountains, overwatches that were like, dude, no one's going to know that they're there. We're going to fly them in early, and then we'll have the commandos clear. And if somebody like kind of tries to go in the mountains, like it'll be like shooting, fish in a barrel. It'll be like the easiest thing. And it's what a tactical plan. It was really great. And like we came up with that plan. I came up with part of that plan, right? And we had we took a while to plan it. It was probably like 10 days where we were just like, okay, we're going to do it. And we went out on like November 24th, 2012. So just about 10 years ago, a little bit more now. And Kevin was like a sniper element and he was in charge of that. And they landed at like 12,000 feet and I was probably at like 6,500 feet or something like that. And they were going to have to like down climb to a position. And so he was supposed to be the overwatch, and he had a couple of Afghanis with him, but he had a couple of new guys. So he was the most senior guy in it. And I had like a group of like 75 commandos and like 4 NSWs, so like maybe 3 SEALs and EOD guy. And then I had a couple of Green Beret with me. And because it was like their home, and they're like, well, we'll just kind of overwatch it. I was like, the commandos to do all the clearing, you know, we'll kind of go do our thing. And, you know, we'll just hang out together. And if something happens, we'll address it together with like basically the SEALs and the Green Beret if the commandos can't get it in the village. But the commandos were clearing the village, and it was massive. And my buddy was like really far away, like 2 miles away or something, clearing another village that they were also doing overwatch. So he had 100. So I had 75, he had 100. And so we're going to do that. We're going to meet in the middle, right? And that was the plan. And it was going to, you know, and we were going to play whack-a-mole when we push everybody out towards the mountains. And they're like, oh, guess what? We were hiding the whole time. So I was talking to Kevin. So they landed like hours before us. I landed, you know, 2 hours before dawn or something like that. They went in at like midnight. And somewhere they realized that to down climb was too dangerous. And like you know, I pride myself on being a sniper and a point man. And it was like, I still am upset that I didn't do it with him and sit down as like, this is how I would do it. And I did, but he was competent. So it's like one of those things. This is our plan. We thought that this was a good spot, and it was more treacherous than he thought, particularly at night on nods down climbing. Like he was going to lose like 3,000 to 4,000 feet of elevation.
Wow.
And they ended up coming to a sheer cliff, and they're just like, all right, we're going to stop right here. We're going to wait till first light to down climb. This is too dangerous. Like, I know that there's other ways. I'm like, oh God, he should, like, I'm thinking in my mind where he was and what was going on. And I was like, okay, cool. And at some given point, we're like, all right, there's enough light. Let's have the commandos start clearing. And just, you know, they're banging indoors and they're doing stuff like that. I hear bolt action rifles in the mountains. And I'm just like, okay, our guys are taking shots. Those are bolt action rifles. And then, you know, saying, you know, we're taking enemy fire. And you're like, okay. And so I'm talking to Kevin. So he's on the radio saying that I'm the closest element to him, and I'm the team lead of the element. I'm the team. So I'm talking to me. And like our C2 element, he's too far away for them to even hear. And they were between terrain. So I'm like relaying anyway to our C2 element. And so I'm talking to him. I have like a map out. I'm like, okay, where are you? I'm like, I'm at, you know, this location. And I couldn't hear it. And he's like, I'm taking effective fire. And you're like, all right, dude, I'm going to come up. I'm going to come to you. I'm going to take an element. I'm coming up. What's your location? And so he starts reading out the 10-digit grid. And so he got through the first 5, and then he got the 6th digit. And then I heard a shot, and he stopped talking. And so, you know, I'm like, hey, you know, what's your position? I'm coming to you. What's your position? I'm coming to you. And he didn't hear anything, didn't hear anybody respond. And ultimately, bad things are going through my head. I'm like, he got shot. Like, that's what happened. And then someone called out bonehead. And so bonehead is not what you're supposed to say. Bonehead is a training thing for man down. So I knew what it meant. In my heart, I knew what it meant. And I was like, you're confused because you said the wrong words. You're supposed to say man down if it's us, so it couldn't be that. But like, I knew in my heart what it was. And then he's like, you know, man down, man down. And he was whispering. And he was just like, tell me where it is. Give me the grids. Wouldn't give me the grids.
So who was on the radio?
It was the EOD guy. Okay. So none of the other SEALs, nobody else was talking on the radio, and they were whispering. And, you know, they were probably like 5,000 feet above my head, and they were probably, I didn't know where. Eventually, I get a grid from the EOD guy through whispers. And he's like, you know, I'm like, 5-3, you know, whatever it was. And I got it. And you're like, oh, they're fucked. And I turned to the Green Berets, and they had done the FID mission. And I'm like, look, dude, I'm not dealing with the commandos anymore. Like, you got them. That's my brother. I'm going. And so I was like, we don't really have, like, I'm not the comms, the Green Beret guys. So I was like, you guys have this mission, right? Like, you've done this before. I talked to them. They're like, we got it, dude. So I went with 3 other guys. I had an EOD guy, and we're like, we're going to go to this. So full speed sprint on like a goat trail that was supposed to be IED'd. And I was like, dude, I'm not going to go over the rough terrain. I'm going to do this the fastest way possible. I'm running on this trail. I don't think I'm going to light anything off. I'm going to lead it. So I was a JTAC. I took control of air as I'm like dead sprinting. I have like a new guy with like the AW gun, and I have my puff jacket under it was cold. So I had my puff jacket under my body armor at that point, and I'm dead sprinting in it, and I'm probably going a mile maybe, and I'm gaining 4,000 to 5,000 feet elevation. I don't know.
What elevation were you at the time about?
Maybe like 6,500, and they were at like 10. I don't know. I don't remember exactly what it was, but like, you know, we're at high desert kind of thing. And I didn't know exactly where they were, what elevation were they, because they started at like 12. And so I'm telling you, it was a full sprint, and I came to a sheer cliff that was 100 feet tall. And like that, I was like, I'm 50 yards from where they're supposed to be. So I was like, they're on top of this. So I slung my gun and I started climbing. And like the guys I was with, like, they're like, I'm a rock climber. I was into it. Like, I climbed with Kevin all the time. Like, every trip we went on, everywhere we went, I'm like, I'm fucking going. And I realized like I can't get up that way. I was like, okay, I'm going to go around. So I down climb, go up like around the hill of like where I think I can get over them. And they're still whispering. Like, they're not moving. Nobody's talking to me on the radio. And I know that it's bolt action. I know that like other people are alive. There's no way that like everybody's dead or anything like that. Like, and I kept talking to the guy, and I was like, hey, Lima 1, that was his call sign. Lima 1, are you there? He's like, he's down. And you're like, oh, he's dead. Like, I can't get to him in like that hour. There's no way. And so I don't know how long it actually took us to get there, but maybe it was like 45 minutes or something like of like the worst fucking thing in your entire life. I did another up climb, and I was arrogant enough with my gun that be like, dude, with my M4, I got this guy fucking dead to rights. Like, whoever's there, like, I'm going to get them before they get me, because there's no way. And at that given point, having like a lot of the bad things that had happened, and I think extortion happened in between, and like one of my mentors was in that, and like, so I was friends with all those guys. Like, I was like, I'm coming home. I'm not going to waste my life on something that's unimportant. And that day I was like, I'm fucking done. I don't care what happens to me. And so I'm talking to the helos that were overhead. They can't see anything. Nobody's responding to it. And I'm like sheer climbing a thing that nobody can follow me and nobody can support. And I'm like, I'm going to fucking use my M4, and like, I don't care. Like, it's going to happen. Eventually I down climbed. My buddy had reached me at that point in the other element. And then we went around, and like I crested, and then I realized I was Overwatch for those guys. And as soon as like I was Overwatch to them, I was like, dude, I got you. Ain't nobody going to be able to shoot you. And I was over them. So they were on like maybe a 10 to 20 foot cliff. He got shot probably like 50 yards away with a bolt action gun of somebody who was sleeping in a cave. And you're like at 12,000 feet. Like, it didn't make any sense. And he got shot in the head. And at the end of it, like, we had, you know, the helicopter had like PJs and stuff, and they're just like, hey, we can crane them out, we can hoist them. And you're like, if somebody's in the hills and we don't know it, like, no, we're not doing that. So we physically had to carry him and down carry him for like, I don't know, 3 hours. So covered in his blood. Like, I remember what he smelled like. I remember seeing like his wedding ring on it. And like, I knew his wife. Yeah. We were friends. Like, and knowing what that meant.
Yeah.
And I would say, so we carried him out, and we finally get back to like the base where everybody had like consolidated. And that's where we're like broke down. Like, there was no, like, we were fucking going. And then like everybody sees you, everybody's in tears, and you're like, and then it hit you, and you're like, fuck.
From the time that you realized what had happened talking to him on the radio until you got back, what was the ballpark time frame that took place? Was it 5 hours?
Yeah, probably by lunchtime we were back, something like that. And I literally sweat through like a puff jacket.
Yeah. Did the whoever was sleeping in the cave, did you guys ever see?
So our interpreter, who I think is an Uber driver in Chicago, I think he got him.
Really?
So, yeah.
Do you know any of the details on that?
So he squirted in a different direction that wasn't that, and they got him. I mean, like, our interpreter got him. Tasagul.
That's fucking wild. He's an Uber driver in Chicago?
Yeah.
Do you keep in touch with him at all?
A little bit. I have his number. I probably should be better about it, but a lot of those interpreters that we kind of didn't do so well by, they matter.
Oh, I know it. I just had this guy Aziz on with Chad Robichaux that was a Force Recon guy that for like 12 years was his main, not just interpreter, but like fixer. You know, it was like, oh, you're going to this region. I need to hook you up with this guy so that you don't, step on your dick and cause problems or whatever. And he's living with him now, and it was kind of that like last ditch effort of like the last. He was on one of the last flights out, and I mean it's a fucking crazy story. But
we have in our company we've got a guy who was one of the last people out on the last flights, and we're trying to right a wrong. Yeah. And I can't say his name or anything like that, but we're because his family's still in danger. But some mutual friends connected us, and we have somebody working on our company who is over there.
So speaking of morning routine and really throughout the day, health and fitness and overall well-being is something that I focus on as I get older. I get more and more kind of in tune with what works and what doesn't. And I recently started working with Ketone IQ, which is HVMN.com. This product is a really, really good way to start the day, as well as basically just anytime you need a boost from an energy standpoint. You're getting ready to do something physically demanding, mentally demanding. Before I record, I take a shot. First thing in the morning I do before workouts to recover after workouts. I take it multiple times a day. And there's no sugar, it's vegan, there's no caffeine, there's no salt, gluten, no artificial flavors or sweeteners. And it works from a ketogenic standpoint, giving your brain and body the fuel that it needs to do tasking tasks. So, it's a phenomenal product, an amazing company. That's HVMN.com. And the code is MicDrop, all one word, all caps, for 20% off. I can't recommend this product enough for, again, getting going in the morning, pre-workout, post-workout. You're tired in the afternoon. It's a super healthy way to feed your brain and your body from that kind of glycogen replenishment standpoint that tends to crash a lot of people when they're using caffeine products or carb products, et cetera. So I love this stuff. I use it several times throughout the day, and I encourage you guys to check it out as well. It's HVMN.com, and that code is MicDrop for 20% off, all caps, all one word.
I also, on my first deployment, I worked with Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker was our interpreter our first deployment, so everybody knows him.
Oh yeah, I had him on a couple of years ago. It was right when his book came out. And, he was absolutely fucking bombed drunk during the entire interview.
He was bomb drunk. He was bomb drunk during my whole deployment, but he was still awesome.
Yeah, awesome. Agreed. It was. It's worth watching. I think for that. Like, he showed up still drunk from the night before, and was like, "Do you have anything to drink?" And I gave him a bottle of, like, I don't remember. It was bourbon, Blanton's maybe. I don't know. He drank the whole fucking bottle during the interview and got just fucking plowed, like even further plowed. I was like, dude, I don't know how are you doing what you're doing right now? And it was crazy. Like he kissed me, and I tried to give him a book that he talked about in his book that meant something to him, and he wouldn't take it. It's a fucking total circus, but.
That describes the deployment that I had, which was very towards the end of his career. So he was pretty cavalier. An amazing guy, no doubt about it.
Yeah. Going back to that particular operation, was there? I know you said that that you guys think that your interpreter got him. But was there any, from an after-action hot wash standpoint, any details of the resistance and kind of how it went wrong that you guys were privy to, or was it just kind of a fucking freak thing, or what?
I think a lot of it is a freak thing, and this is something we have to live with. This is like our plan, right? And like I was absolutely do that. So like, I mean, there's stuff that still bothers me about that, no doubt. Like, would I have done something differently? Of course I would have. But like, was that knowable? Not based on the intelligence that we had, and that was such like a far out thing that, it's one of those things that kind of lives with us. And it was basically, we had right before the mission, it was basically Thanksgiving, right? I don't think that day was, but it ends up being on Thanksgiving a lot, the 24th. And we all put a hand and drew a turkey, a dumb, stupid thing. All of us did it. And like we do it, like people, do dicks on it and whatever it is, as you would. And Kevin was a classical guitarist major, like a classical music major. Yeah. He was going to go be a doctor. Wow. So it was like literally like one of his last missions, if not his last mission. They were going to send him home early. He got accepted into a medical school. Fucking unbelievable dude. Yeah. And he never got to do that. And he went and drew his turkey hand, and it was beautiful. It was perfect. Yeah. And it was like an artist drew it. And we had all of these like amateur, whatever, it was a joke. Yeah. Everybody draw a turkey hand. And like no Thanksgiving can possibly go by. And like, I think that we made a joke even before, like we went into like our operations center, like which one did Kevin draw? Don't look at names, just which one. Like, oh, obviously that one, it's amazing. Yeah. Cause that's Kevin. Yeah. And he was an amazing dude.
Yeah.